The people who seem the happiest with their Medicare years later, they usually made a handful of really smart decisions at the beginning. Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee with Casey, the weekly Medicare conversation that matters. I'm glad you're here. If you're joining me for the first time, my name is Casey Album. I'm the senior Medicare advisor at the Album Insurance Group in Margate, Florida. We're a family-owned agency who has been helping people navigate Medicare for over 30 years. As an agency, we have helped thousands of people make this transition. And personally, I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of families myself over the past couple of years alone. Over that time, one thing I've learned is this: Medicare is not really about finding the best plan. It's about making a handful of really important decisions that you'll hopefully still feel good about years from now. Some of my clients have even started calling me their Medicare co-pilot. Part of that comes from the fact that I'm a licensed pilot, but it's also because I don't believe you should have to navigate Medicare alone. Just like you probably wouldn't fly an airplane without someone helping you understand the route, the weather, possible alternatives. Well, I think Medicare works the same way. Now, I'm the co-pilot because my job isn't to fly the airplane for you. It's your journey. My job is to help you understand your options, avoid the turbulence, and arrive confidently at the destination that's right for you. And that is exactly what today's conversation is about. If you're approaching Medicare, helping someone who is, or even if you're already on Medicare, type me in the comments. Over the past few months, if you've been watching my live training series, we've talked about timing, we've talked about freedom versus networks, we've covered Medicare myths, we've talked about choosing the right strategy, and we've talked about why some plans become a lot more expensive over time. So today, what I want to do is I want to pull all those ideas together, because after watching thousands of Medicare journeys over the past 3 decades as an agency and hundreds myself over the past couple of years alone, I've noticed something. The people who seem the happiest with their Medicare years later, they usually made a handful of really smart decisions at the beginning. Not because they knew everything, but because they focused on the things that mattered the most. And there is a saying that success leaves clues, and that if you copy someone successful and do what they did, you can often achieve the same results. So today, I'm going to share the 5 Medicare decisions that I find that people thank themselves for years down the line. The first one is probably the biggest one, and that's to protect your future options while you're still healthy. You see, when you're first eligible for Medicare, you have the greatest flexibility that you'll ever have. And most people don't realize that. They just assume, I'll just switch later if I don't like what I have. Sometimes you can switch, oftentimes you can't. I was recently talking with a couple that was referred to me by a friend at church. They had signed up for a network-based plan when they both turned 65. 3 or 4 years later, the husband had been diagnosed with a serious pulmonary disease. I think some of you, if you followed me, you've heard me tell this story quite a few times. This one kind of stuck with me. But he had a serious pulmonary disease, and he really needed to go to Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville to get specialized pulmonary care. Unfortunately, Mayo Clinic wouldn't take his plan. He wanted to switch and get a Medicare supplement plan that would have allowed him to go to Mayo Clinic. Unfortunately, because he had the diagnosis on his record, he was uninsurable. So, health changes over time, and that means in a lot of cases, medical underwriting now comes into play. And like this couple, that means your options can become much more limited. The Medicare decisions that you make while you're healthy can protect your freedom later. The second one is deciding how you really want your healthcare to work. Before you ever start comparing premiums, you need to ask yourself something much more important. How do I really want my healthcare to work in retirement? Do you want the freedom to see any doctor nationwide who accepts Medicare? Freedom to go to world-class medical facilities like Mayo Clinic or maybe Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York? Or are you comfortable if you have to work inside of a provider network? Are you comfortable knowing that the facilities that you can go to are limited, knowing that many of these world-class treatment facilities don't take a lot of the network-based plans? Do you value predictability, predictable costs, and limited out-of-pocket costs? Or are you okay with surprise costs that could add up to thousands out of pocket when something serious happens? Are you okay reviewing networks and provider contracts every single year Or do you want a permanent plan that stays with you, covered that you can count on year after year? You see, this isn't really an insurance decision, is it? It's more of a lifestyle decision. The third key decision is to think beyond today's premium. One thing that we've learned after helping thousands of clients enroll in Medicare and choose coverage is that the lowest premium today doesn't always become the lowest overall cost. In fact, most times it's the opposite. You see, healthcare changes, medical inflation comes into play, companies change, plans change, or even get removed from the market completely. I talked a little bit about that last week with Presbyterian out in New Mexico deciding that they're completely withdrawn from Medicare Advantage. We saw that last year. If you're in a state like Vermont, for example, you saw almost all of your Medicare Advantage plans leave the market, and that left a lot of people scrambling. We also have networks that can change. In fact, this is the time of year where we typically see doctors and hospitals pull out of plan networks. Right now, the University of Miami Health System and United Healthcare are going through a rather challenging contract renegotiation. About 10 days ago, brokers in Florida received an email from explaining this and explaining that if they aren't able to resolve this impasse and decides to pull out of United Healthcare, thousands of people that are undergoing care at places like Sylvester Cancer Center could be in a situation where now they've got to start finding a new provider. And if they're on a network-based plan, they may not be able to change plans because we're not in an enrollment period. And that's a great example of where sometimes paying a little bit more today for a permanent plan can create far fewer surprises down the road. The goal isn't finding the cheapest plan. The goal is really to find the plan that you're still going to be happy with years from now. The fourth key decision is to build a relationship, not just buy a policy. This one's kind of personal. One of the things that I love the most about being part of a family agency is that we have always believed that Medicare isn't just a transaction. It's an ongoing relationship. Life changes, drug plans change, health changes, people move, questions come up. Sometimes people run into issues with claims, all kinds of things can happen. And having somebody who already knows your situation, who knows you, and who answers the phone is incredibly valuable. And that's really what my clients mean when they refer to me as their Medicare co-pilot. And that really extends to our whole team, your flight crew, if you will, because we're there before takeoff, helping you with all the planning. We're with you during the flight, and we're right there to help if you ever hit turbulence along the way. And the fifth key decision is making sure that you review your coverage every year. Now, notice that I didn't say change it every year. I just said to review it. And that's important because your prescriptions can change and prescription plans can change. Travel changes. Maybe you move. Your life changes. Other times, especially if you have a Medigap plan, most of the time, nothing needs to change. And as you look at your whole coverage package, sometimes one small adjustment can save hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Notice something? None of these 5 decisions were really about shopping for insurance, were they? They were about protecting your future, keeping your options open, making healthcare simpler for you, and creating more freedom in retirement. And that right there, that is what a good Medicare strategy is really designed to do. If you're already on Medicare, if you've been able to keep seeing the doctors that you know and trust, if you're able to go to any hospital or treatment center that you want to here in Florida or anywhere in the US, if your costs have been predictable and you're not constantly waiting to see if treatments are even going to be approved by the insurance company, or maybe travel hasn't complicated your healthcare, then there's a very good chance that your Medicare strategy was built thoughtfully right from the beginning. And that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. So if you're approaching Medicare, maybe you're helping someone that you care about, or maybe you'd simply like another set of eyes on your current strategy. You can go to medicarequotes.com/Facebook to grab some time on my calendar. Call the office 954 970-4760. Christine will get you connected with me or someone on the team, or just comment guide, and I will personally reach out to you. So I want to go over some of the common questions that I get as I'm helping people. And one that comes up a lot is, what's the biggest Medicare decision that people end up regretting? Well, from my experience, it's not understanding how their first decision affects their future options. You see, when you first start Medicare, the decisions that you make at 65 or whenever you start, those are decisions that are going to stay with you for life. When you're first enrolling in Medicare, all of your options are on the table. And a big mistake is not understanding how your Medigap open enrollment window works. You see, when you first activate your Part B coverage, you have 6 months from the date that that coverage starts to be able to enroll in any Medicare supplement plan that you're eligible for without having to answer any underwriting questions. And I know there's some other exceptions in certain states. There's some limited trial rules with Medicare Advantage, but as a general rule, once that 6-month period ends, now you're going to have to answer medical underwriting questions. And just like that couple that I talked about, I've got many more stories like that where folks thought they would just be able to switch later on, had something happen, and now found that there were more doors closed for them when it came to coverage than doors that were open. So not understanding how that first decision affects future options, that's a big one. Casey, is the lowest premium usually the best value? Not necessarily. Long-term value and short-term price are two completely different things. Now, price is what you're going to pay today, but that doesn't take into account what you might be giving up. A great example, you've heard me talk about freedom-based care versus network-based care. Network-based managed care is always cheaper up front on a monthly basis. But going back to basic high school economics, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And there are a lot of trade-offs in order to get that low monthly premium. Does this mean that I absolutely hate Medicare Advantage? No, I think there's a spot for it in the market. There are certain people that it might be a good option for. But for most others, I personally believe that freedom-based care, which is original Medicare with a Medicare supplement plan, is a much better long-term approach. And a lot of the trade-offs that I see people giving up is they give up their medical freedom. And let's face it, as we're getting older, we're more likely to have medical claims and more likely to have more serious medical claims. For example, if you're diagnosed with cancer, do you want to be given a list of places that you're allowed to go and a list of doctors that you're allowed to get treatment from? Or do you want to keep all your options open? Do you want to be able to go to Mayo Clinic? Do you want to be able to go to MD Anderson in Houston or Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York, or even Sylvester right down here in Miami? Well, when you choose a network-based plan, you're basically signing over your Medicare benefits to that insurance company, and now they're the gatekeeper for your care. So you're giving something up in exchange for that low or zero premium. Whereas with freedom-based care, yes, you're paying a monthly premium, but you still have very limited, very clearly defined out-of-pocket costs. Number one, it's going to protect your retirement savings. And number two, you have the freedom to see any Medicare doctor or go to any hospital or treatment center anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare. And I think that that freedom of choice is very, very critical. How often should I renew my Medicare? Or how often should I review my Medicare? You don't need to renew it. It's with original Medicare, as long as you're paying your premium, it stays in force forever. Same thing with Medicare supplement plan. But you should review it every year. If you're on a Medicare supplement plan, it's a little easier for you because generally speaking, your Medicare supplement plan's guaranteed renewable. It's going to stay in force as long as you make your premium payments. If you're in a state like Florida or Arizona where it's an issue age plan, you're always going to be paying that company's current rate for the age where you signed up. Other states have what's called community pricing, where everybody pays the same thing. If you're in one of those states, whether you're in an issue age state or you're in a community rated state, you're almost always going to end up keeping your Medicare supplement plan for a very long period of time, if not for life. But that doesn't mean that you don't want to review your prescription plan, because the prescriptions that you're taking, those can change year over year. The prescription plans that are available, those will change every year. And if you've got Medicare supplement and you're on a attained age state and you move, for example, you may want to double check to, of course you can keep your plan, but if you're healthy, you may want to double check to see if a plan in your new state may be less costly than the one that you had in your previous state, because Medicare supplement rates vary by state. I had a client, he moved from Nevada a few years ago. He had a Medicare supplement plan F, not available today, but it was considered one of the best plans on the market because it had absolutely no out-of-pocket costs. Well, an attained age state means that the premium goes up every single year as you get older, and you've also got inflationary increases that can be tied to it. So when he moved from Nevada, he brought his plan with him. And over the years, those cost increases just continued to escalate. He also didn't review his drug plan on an annual basis. And he had a plan that he was paying close to $100 a month for, but he only took 3 prescriptions. So we were able to help him move to a different plan in Florida. Even at his current age, he was older, and we were able to help him get a 0 premium prescription plan that covered the 3 medicines that he took with very little out-of-pocket costs. So that's an example of why it makes a good sense to review your plan every year, or review your coverage strategy every year. Another one that comes up a lot is, why would I work with an independent Medicare advisor if I can just do it myself? And that's a great question, because a lot of people have this perception that if you work with an independent advisor like me, that you're going to get a bill from me for my service, or that you're going to pay a higher premium than if you just call an 800 number and enroll directly. That's actually not true. The premium is the same, whether you work with someone like me or whether you deal directly with the 800 number on a website or call an 800 number and get somebody on the other side of the world. But what you gain when you work with someone like me is, now you've got someone who can help you compare multiple companies and plans, who can explain the trade-offs, and who can help you think beyond the fancy marketing that you're hearing to find coverage that really fits you and fits your situation. One of the great things about being an independent agent is that I get to represent multiple companies and plans. The other great thing about being an independent agent is I get to choose which companies I want to work with. And so my goal, as I'm sitting down with you, and it's the same goal that my team follows, learned this from my dad, who's been doing this for decades, is our goal is to help you find a company and a plan, and find your plan from a company that has earned the right to be recommended. And we look at things like stable premiums over time, customer service, claims payment timeliness. We look at their experience in business, and how likely, financial ratings, all that, and how likely that Medicare supplement company is to continue to be providing good service and be around years down the road. As an independent agent, I get to choose to work with companies that meet the same values and focus on the same things that are important to us. My dad has always said that if a company or a plan isn't something that we would be 100% comfortable recommending to a close friend or a family member, we have absolutely no business recommending it to a client. And that's the way that we operate. So it won't cost you more to work with me or with someone like me, but it could definitely cost you more not to. If there's one thing that I would like to leave you with today, it's this. If you take nothing away from this conversation, it's this one. Maybe even write it down. The best Medicare decisions usually aren't the ones that save you the most money this month. They're the ones that give you the most confidence, the most freedom, and the fewest regrets down the road. They're the ones that you're still happy with 10 or 15 years down the road. So if you'd like to connect with me or my team, You can go to medicarequotes.com/Facebook. You can grab some time on my calendar. Call the office, 954-970-4760. Christine will get you connected with us, or just comment guide, and I will personally reach out to you. Thank you for spending part of your Wednesday afternoon with me for another Coffee with Casey. Until next week, I'm Casey Album, your Medicare co-pilot. And remember, good Medicare planning isn't about finding the perfect plan. It's about building a strategy that helps you enjoy your retirement with confidence. Have a great day.